Mike Carter here. I'm coming to you live from the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. I had the pleasure to stand here next to Timothy Baumgardner. Timothy is a Washington state delegate, a Bernie Sanders supporter, and also a veteran of the United States Air Force, and a father to an Iraq War veteran. Thank you, first of all, sir, for your service to our country, and I appreciate you taking a few minutes with us.
Thank you.
Over the weekend, as you know, the website WikiLeaks released about 20,000 emails, some of which entailed emails from the Democratic National Committee and seemed to involve Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz and implicated the DNC with having involvement with the Bernie Sanders campaign and sort of sullying the reputation with Bernie Sanders' campaign, especially with Southern voters, and dealing with Bernie Sanders' religion. What do you need to hear out of the Democratic National Committee tonight moving forward?
I guess for me personally, I would like to see that these people who were involved in these kinds of reckless shenanigans, some are supposed to be impartial, I would ask that these people be removed. One of the things that I see happening in the quite near future is we're going to go ahead and replace all of these lifelong politicians. And so these people who work for the DNC, many of them are either trying to become lifelong politicians or are politicians. And maybe they ought to go home and be with their families for a bit because they've lost their way. If you haven't got a moral compass and you can't remain neutral in that kind of a position, you should be fired immediately.
Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz said she will be resigning from her position at the end of the week, but she will open the convention tonight. What will your reaction be, and what do you expect your fellow Bernie Sanders supporters' reactions to be when she does enter the stage tonight?
It's important. It's important for me to tell people this. Mr. Sanders said so many months ago that this was the kind of stuff that was going on, and everybody brushed it off as, including the DNC, as if this was just so much nonsense coming from an old man, He doesn't say things he doesn't mean. I believe he knew what was going on, and now we all know that he knew what was going on. And you can hide this all you like. But what they did was wrong. And when I raised my children, if they did things that were wrong and weren't healthy, I reprimanded them for it. I didn't spank my children. I made them write sentences and stuff. So there's not enough sentences for these adults to be writing. So we'll just go ahead and fire them and replace them with some good progressives who want to make real change in America.
Will you boo her entrance this evening?
I won't boo anybody's entrance. I think it's childish. I don't think that serves a purpose. I think my purpose here is to support the people who elected me as a pledged delegate to come here on the floor and vote for Bernie Sanders. I will not yield. I will not vote for Hillary Clinton under any circumstances. It is important for folks to understand that in Washington state, 73.3% of the caucus goers voted for Hillary Clinton. We have 75% of the delegates in this delegation are Bernie Sanders delegates. And each individual delegate has the same thing I have, one of these cute little Willy Wonka tickets, and we have an obligation to vote. And that obligation to vote is for Bernie Sanders, at least on the first ballot. And after that, they're going to choose the person that they feel most comfortable. As a personal note, for me, I'm not going to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz says she will resign as chairwoman of the DNC, but she will stay on with the Hillary campaign as a surrogate through November. If you are Hillary Clinton, let me ask you this. Should Hillary Clinton disavow any connection with Debbie Wasserman Schultz?
Well, I look at it this way. Yes, she should disavow her, but this is how this system works. It's an ugly system, and it has little purpose, and that's why most folks don't get involved. They don't get involved because they don't believe that their votes count, okay? They don't believe that anything they do makes a difference. Well, I tell you, don't believe that. Get out here, pull some weeds. All these people on your school boards and your counties, your boroughs, your municipalities, your state legislators, and in Congress, let's replace them. Let's start over new with some good progressives that are going to do things like single payer, that will help veterans like me who are begging to get health care. We're literally begging to get health care, and we're dying waiting, and the bean counters know it. We're losing a soldier every 17 minutes to suicide. You know something, where's the outrage? We're losing more soldiers a year to suicide in America. because of the last 15 years of combat, and of course, combats from the times prior to that. We're losing more than a brigade, more than 8,000 soldiers a year to suicide. Where's the outrage? There isn't any outrage because it doesn't affect a large portion of our society. Less than 1% of our society serves. I think we should have some sort of service requirements for everybody, whether it's, picking up garbage off the streets or serving in the armed forces. It takes a team, and team means this: together everyone achieves more. We need to get more of that involved in our politics, where people can feel like they can participate. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz needs to go home. She needs to be defeated in her election, and she needs to ask for forgiveness from the American people for what she did to Mr. Sanders and the people that she cost money to. These Bernie delegates and all the people who are supporting Bernie spent a lot of their work time and their money. And by doing these shenanigans, it forced more money to be spent. And I think that, unfortunately, I'm not involved in a lawsuit, but those people who are suing, they may now have standing as it relates to the DNC's shenanigans. So I hope that doesn't happen, because it'll only hurt the Democratic Party.
You told me earlier that you cannot envision yourself voting for Hillary Clinton. You're here at the DNC. What are your intentions this week, and who will you be voting for in November?
In the state of Washington, I'm blessed to have the capacity to write in whichever candidate I choose. And so I'm not going to hold my nose this time and vote for the least of two evils. It's not going to happen. I've been doing that my entire adult life. You get to be in your mid-50s, you have to start thinking about, well, what do you do? Well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to write Bernie Sanders' name on my ballot, because that's the gentleman who I believe is best suited to run my country and bring forth a progressive agenda that's going to make life better for everyone.
Last week at the RNC, Donald Trump made a play for Sanders supporters, saying he agrees with Sanders. He's an anti-TPP candidate, and that he sees the DNC as being corrupt, and that he welcomed into the fray a lot of Sanders supporters. Can you envision Sanders supporters en masse going to vote for Donald Trump?
I can envision Sanders supporters en masse not voting for Hillary Clinton. Now, what they choose to do and who they choose to vote for is their choice. But the DNC, RNC, same kind of animal. I mean, the people at the RNC didn't follow their own rules on the floor, much like they may not do here. We don't know. It hasn't started yet. I'm hoping that we behave better than they did in the RNC, follow their own rules, us follow our rules, allow Mr. Sanders to have this roll call. We're signing a petition right now to make sure that Mr. Sanders has his roll call. He's entitled to have these people's votes counted and to call the roll. And if they don't do it, once again, disenfranchised people who sent us here at great expense, okay? Great expense. We have one of the cheaper room rates for this convention, $414.65 a night in an upscale Motel 6. In that room every night is $144, and at the government rate, because I'm a disabled veteran, it's $125. It's just sad.
Where does the Bernie Sanders revolution go after this week? After the convention ends, what happens to his campaign?
His campaign continues, because this is our revolution. This is not about Bernie Sanders. It's not about me. It's about us. It's about us standing together, going to our school boards, going to our counties, going to our state, going to our federal elected officials, and asking them politely to go home, okay? Enjoy the rest of your term, folks, because we're coming, and we're going to go ahead and elect progressives and replace you. So enjoy what time you have left, and thank you for your service. And you know something? It's time for a real change, and we're going to get her done.
He is Timothy Baumgartner, Washington State Delegate, United States Air Force veteran. He will not be voting for Hillary Clinton and will write in Bernie Sanders come November. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.